Hello, my dear students. Welcome to my class of literary terms. I'm sure by this time you must have bought the book which I told you in my earlier classes, the best book to study these literary terms. Yes, you're right. The title of the book is A Glossary of Literary Terms and the name of the writer is M.H. Abrams. However, today in our class, we will be dealing with our notes, and the three terms which we are going to study are number 1, tragedy, number 2, comedy, and number 3, tragicomedy. The very title of these terms make it very clear that all these three terms are interrelated. That is why we are going to study them together, because sometimes when we make a comparison between one or the two, things become all the more clear, and this is what I am going to do today. I am sure the moment you have a look at these terms, the first thing which must have come in your mind is that anything which is tragic, which has got a tragic end, must be a tragedy, and anything which tells us something in a comic way, that is comedy, and a combination of both is tragicomedy. Yes, dear students, to some extent you are right, it's like this only, but there are certain other characteristics also which we must learn as students of English literature. That is how the definitions of all these terms are going to be complete. So let's come quickly to the first one. The first term, that is tragedy. It says that tragedy is a term used in general for a serious work of fiction. Underline the word serious, especially a drama that presents the downfall of its protagonist. Now, who is a protagonist? A protagonist means the main character, hero or the heroine. So, when a play or a drama presents the downfall of the main character, that play comes under the category of tragedy. In other words, we have learned two things, that first, tragedy is a form of drama, okay, and it is a play with a sad ending, right? Now, when we say that tragedy is a form of drama, that means there must be some conflict. Why? Because conflict is the essence of drama. What is essence? Essential part. जहाँ कहीं ड्रामा होगा तो ड्रामा में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट का होना तो ज़रूरी है. Now this conflict can be in the mind of the tragic hero, and this conflict obviously is between the hero and the villain. And what happens at the end? The conflict ends in the downfall, death or suffering of the hero. That means at the end of tragedy, either there is downfall of the hero, or the hero dies, there is death of the main protagonist, or suffering of the hero. Now the question arises, what kind of a person can be a tragic hero? In our ancient tragedies, in old tragedies, a tragic hero was usually a man of importance, a king, prince or a general, right? But in modern drama, even an ordinary man can be a tragic hero. Yes, the stories of people like you and me, they can also be written as tragedies. And we can play the role of a tragic hero. An ordinary man can play the role of a tragic hero. So what does the story of a tragic hero make it a tragedy? It has got two conditions. What are they? Suffering. His suffering. Who's suffering? The tragic hero suffering. His suffering arouses the emotions of pity and fear. ऐसे ट्रेजिक हीरो की कहानी को पढ़ के या सुनकर हमारे मन के अंदर दो तरह की भावनाएं पैदा होनी चाहिए, तब हम उस प्ले को ट्रेजेडी बोलेंगे. एंड व्हाट आर दे? पिटी एंड फियर. व्हाई पिटी? पिटी क्यों आएगी हमारे मन में, दया क्यों आएगी? बिकॉज हिज सफरिंग, अगेन वर्ड हिज मीन्स द ट्रेजिक हीरोज सफरिंग इज अनडिजर्व्ड, क्योंकि जितना बुरा उसके साथ हो रहा है उतना बुरा उसने किया नहीं था, तभी वो प्ले जो था वो ट्रेजेडी के अंदर आया. He suffers much more than his sins or faults. Let's understand it from another point of view. In other words, we want to say that the punishment or the suffering received by the hero is generally out of proportion with the fault or crime. उसने जो उसका fault हो या crime commit किया हो, उसके बदले में जो उसको punishment मिली है, suffering मिली है, that is out of proportion, मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ा चढ़ा कर. In other words, the hanging of a murderer cannot be called a tragedy. You say, okay, you told us that tragedy is a play with sad ending. So it is the story of a murderer who was hanged at the end. जिसको end में फांसी हो जाती है because उसने किसी का murder किया था. तो will that play be a tragedy? No, dear students, that cannot be a tragedy. Why? Because that person murdered another person और बदले में उसको फांसी हो गई, तो उसकी punishment तो proportion में ही हुई ना. किस ट्रेजिक हीरो की प्ले को, स्टोरी को हम ट्रेजेडी में कन्वर्ट करेंगे या उसको ट्रेजेडी की कैटेगरी में लेंगे, जिसमें जो पनिशमेंट है रिसीव्ड बाय द हीरो इज आउट ऑफ प्रोपोर्शन विद द फॉल्ट और क्राइम, राइट? सो इन दिस वे द ट्रेजेडी ऑफ अथेलो, हेमलेट, मैकबेथ एंड किंग लियर can be termed as the greatest tragedies written by Shakespeare. Do get hold of these plays written by Shakespeare, and when you read them, very many things will become clear to you, that these four great tragedies of English literature, Othello, Hamlet, Macbeth and King Lear, they are very nice plays, and if we apply all the conditions of tragedy over these plays, we find that they fulfill all the characteristics. That is why these are the greatest tragedies written by our own William Shakespeare. So much for the tragedy. Now let's come to another term, that is comedy. Now what is a comedy? Very simple. Comedy is a literary work that aims to amuse by dealing with humorous or familiar situations. It is written primarily to amuse. इसका पर्पस ही क्या होता है कॉमेडी को लिखने का, कि जो रीडर है या जो ऑडियंस है उसको अम्यूजमेंट मिले, उसकी एंटरटेनमेंट हो. To entertain and usually ends happily. So what we have learned, that comedy is a form of drama. जैसे tragedy is a form of drama, similarly comedy is a form of drama. Tragedy is a form of drama with a sad ending, and in comedy ending is very very happy. It provides fun and laughter. पूरे प्ले के दौरान हम बहुत खुश रहते हैं, entertain होते हैं. It is full of fun and laughter. Now when we say that comedy is a form of drama, we have to admit, as I told you earlier, that there has to be conflict. Conflict होगा तभी तो drama होगा. Now the conflict in comedy ends happily and the hero overcomes all difficulties and achieves his goal. Now, let's come to the hero of a comedy. Usually the hero and the heroine are finally united. तभी एंड अच्छा होगा ना, उनकी अच्छे से शादी हो जाती है, मिल जाते हैं, उनके अंदर जो भी उनको प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हुई होती है वो ख़त्म हो जाती है, एंड देयर इज़ हैप्पीनेस फॉर ऑल. In other words, we can say vice is punished. जो बुरा होता है उसको punishment मिल जाती है, and virtue is rewarded. और जो अच्छा होता है उसको इनाम मिलता है. In this way, we can say that there is poetic justice in good comedy. Now, what is poetic justice? Where we say that justice is done, अगर जो अच्छा है उसके साथ अच्छा हो जाता है, बिकॉज गॉड जो है वो उन्होंने जस्टिस की, इसने बुरा काम किया था तो इसका नतीजा भी बुरा निकला. बट इन अ प्ले, when the poet or the writer writes it, and that writer decides to give good things to the good persons and bad results to the bad activities of bad persons, then we say, yes, there is poetic justice. So in a comedy there is poetic justice. Why? Because vice is punished and virtue is rewarded. Now let's come to the examples of comedy. Again, these famous comedies are written by William Shakespeare and very nice plays. To name a few, we can say As You Like It and A Midsummer Night's Dream. Both of them, they are in your syllabi of BA2 and BA3. Very soon you're going to study that also. So these two comedies, they are actually written by William Shakespeare and they fulfill all the conditions which are given for a comedy to be termed as comedy. Now let's come to the third term, that is tragi-comedy. Tragi-comedy, as the very name suggests, the main action in a tragi-comedy is a combination of the two. So what we can say, it is a play with a happy ending, but sad and tragic events are to be found all over the play, just as our life is. Very many things are happening, but if the end is happy, something good happens, we say it's very, very good. Similarly, in a tragi-comedy, since the term tragi, that is why sad and tragic events are there. But the end part is comedy. So, it is a play with a happy ending. In other words, we can say that the main action in a tragi-comedy seems to be heading towards ruins. पढ़ते पढ़ते हमें ये लगता है या देखते हुए प्ले हमें ये फील होता है बस सब कुछ बहुत ही बुरा होने वाला है, अब तो सब कुछ खराब हो जाएगा, नष्ट हो जाएगा. बट एवरीथिंग ends happily by a happy turn of events. लेकिन तब भी फिर कुछ ऐसा होता है that everything is fine and the play ends happily. That is why such kind of plays or dramas are termed as tragi-comedy. Normally हमारी हिंदी मूवीज में ऐसे होता है, hero is going to leave heroine or heroine is going to leave hero and some very tragic thing is going to happen, but all of a sudden something happens and all the things are clear in their mind and both of them they are united. So this is called tragi-comedy. And in our example, we can have a look at the famous play which again is in the syllabi of BA2, that is The Merchant of Venice by Shakespeare. It is a very, very fine example of tragi-comedy. Remember William Shakespeare's play The Merchant of Venice? You must have heard about its trial scene in your plus 2 classes also. That is the famous trial scene, and we see that Antonio is on the verge of death and Shylock is about to cut a pound of flesh from near his heart. But then Portia turns the table on Shylock and the play ends happily. He says, "No, I have to take a pound of flesh from his breast." Shylock says, and Antonio is ready to give. But then the Portia enters as a lawyer and she proves that he cannot take but a pound of flesh and he is not supposed to take even a single drop of blood, and that is why things are changed. Now it is not possible to cut the flesh without dropping blood. So ultimately Shylock goes back and Antonio's life is saved, and that is how Portia turns the tables on Shylock and the play ends happily. So this is what happens in tragi-comedy. With this, we come to the end of this lesson. All the 3 terms, I hope, are pretty clear to you, and I suggest that you must read examples of all these 3 terms. I mean great tragedies and comedies and tragi-comedies written by William Shakespeare. That will add to your knowledge. Good luck. See you again. Thank you.